regular chicks is with a kryptonite condom. That would kill him.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Cake Burger. My name is Steve.
And I'm Mike, and I didn't move my arms this time.
Well, lots of restraint right there. I can see, the little lip quivering.
My urge is just to do that, and I'm trying not to do that anymore.
But welcome to the show, everybody. Today's our weekly news roundup from the weekend that just passed. Remember, if you like the content you see and you hear, remember to like and subscribe. Hit the smash the bell button, like Mike Tyson. Yeah. And just it gives us a big thumbs up if you like the videos. Give us a thumbs down if you don't like the videos.
Well, if you want to be the Little Mac super uppercut, do that too. That's actually a better one.
Me and my son. I never played Punch Out for Wii. And me and my son, my littlest one, just watched all the boss fights for Punch Out. I was unaware that Donkey Kong was the last boss for the Wii Punch Out.
Yeah, it was the only Punch Out. Oh, I did beat Mike Tyson's Punch Out once.
Oh, so hard.
Years ago, when I was in junior high, me and my friend Brian Lavoy, we just spent years, not years, all summer playing NES, and we just one whole week we just literally played Mike Tyson's Punch Out till we beat it.
Mike Tyson.
I don't think I'll ever beat it again. Don't ask me to play it on Friday night game night because it's not gonna happen.
I get like not PTSD, but I get I kind of nervous, when I just watching the gameplay of Mike Tyson, and I remember how hard he was, and just my butthole puckers, just watching Mike Tyson.
Especially when you don't realize that one hit you get knocked down when you first play it.
I gotta tell you,
on Wii is so much easier though. I will say that.
That's the console it's made for, and I gotta tell you, watching all the bosses, I'm surprised that White Tiger made the cut. He was pretty. I don't think he's really made for the woke culture. Pretty much, I think.
Well, when you punch them of their certain origin,
yep.
Certain aspects from that origin, a country of origin, pop out of them when you punch them. So yeah.
Well, King Hippo, when he hit me, like pineapples and stuff come out of him and stuff like that. I don't know.
And then when you fight the Russian dude, it's not vodka that comes out.
You can make fun of. It's still okay to make fun of Russians.
Yeah.
But anyway, speaking of Punch Out, which actually has nothing to do with what we're talking about. We get some DC news today. Obviously, we had the second, the latter half of DC Fandom happened this weekend. I kind of was ready for an onslaught of comic book news. Those was come out of the publisher, but I got to tell you, kind of a nothing burger when it came to DC Fandom. A lot of stuff we kind of already knew, and but there was a couple of little nuggets there. Some bad, some good. We'll talk about the bad ones first, and then we'll get to the main course afterwards. Mike, I know there was a book that got canceled. They announced today that you were kind of
my one book that I'm reading from DC and my favorite Batman of all time is Batman Beyond is being canceled. I think in December, or soon. I think
soon. So yeah, coming soon. I think I'm not really sure the date really.
I was like, oh Christ. I mean, I kind of read the writing on the wall that this isn't a book that's gonna last forever, anyways.
Yeah,
and it's a great book, but I wasn't too shocked. But I'm gonna start picking up after the Joker storyline. I'm probably gonna start picking up the regular Batman book and most likely Detective because I have a feeling that Tim Drake's gonna play more of a role in Detective like he was before. He went to college or vanished, whatever. So it stinks. I really like Terry McGinnis as Batman. I think it was just a great character. Maybe it'll be a digital book after this. We'll see. But
that's what it started off at. Didn't it start off digital at first, or?
I might have, but there was Batman Beyond was it was Tim Drake during that future.
Oh, Future's End, whatever it was.
Yeah. So then Tim, because Terry McGinnis dies in the present, but it was a future, whatever, but it was weird. And then Tim Drake takes up the mantle. And then it went back to Terry McGinnis. And then there was a soft reboot where nothing from Future's End happens. It was weird, but they didn't really explain it.
I think when I was reading that it was getting canceled, there's been about 3 or 4 series since its iteration, pretty much since the cartoon got canceled.
It's the Spider Girl of our DC.
Yeah, if I'm being honest,
canceled and came back.
If I'm being completely honest, I didn't even know it was being published. I didn't even know there was a Batman Beyond book. But Batman. I love Batman Beyond back in the day, back with the cartoon. And to me, it seemed like a little Spider-Man 2099, which I enjoyed the first time, but then when they brought it back, not so much. But yeah, I mean, like I know there's a lot of fans of the book, so I mean,
I preferred, honestly, I'm not saying it's better, but I preferred Batman Beyond over the animated series.
I can see
Yeah,
that.
I'm not saying it's better. Don't give me hate likes or dislikes when you guys watch this. And by no means am I saying that it's better because the animated series was better. I just preferred, Batman Beyond because when it came out, I was a teenager. Terry McGinnis was a teenager, so I just kind of related to it a little bit more than most, I guess. So
I thought it was great. I love I hope one day we're gonna see a Batman Beyond movie. I think that'd be great. But yeah, Batman Beyond canceled. What else? As far as DC fandom goes,
not much really.
the only thing we had, Jim Lee was doing a panel, and he kind of mentioned in passing something we already knew. The 5G is just completely canceled, not going to happen. And
I thought I read somewhere on Facebook that it was going to be just a mini series on its own and non-continuity, so to speak.
They've already kind of touched upon it already in, like, I think Flash Forward, I think is the name of it, the Scott Lobdell, Brett Booth Flash miniseries. I guess there's gonna be a miniseries I think coming out. I think with the story they were gonna do, but apparently, Jim Lee said it's not happening, and also it wasn't what you thought it was gonna be anyway. Yeah. So a lot of people kind of speculated there was going to be a full reboot of the DC universe. They were going to change, like, kind of do a Marvel, all different Marvel did when they changed, like, all the characters of Riri Williams, Miles Morales, all these guys. From what I understand, I think it kind of seemed like it could be more of like an Age of Apocalypse type thing, where they're going to renumber everything and change the characters for like a year or so on, and then like go back to like the normal afterwards. And it seemed like kind of like a lot of like bullshit that I don't think AT&T is really interested in doing, really, especially when they're trying to like streamline their comic book properties, really. So I mean,
this is something that I know they're trying to get rid of books, and Marvel seems to add more books, but this is something 5G that could have been, I think, still could have happened in an alternate Earth. DC kills it, absolutely kills it. And if I'm saying that right with the new, cool kid talk, they would have done a great job if this was on a multiverse type story.
Oh, speaking of which, they did announce they're doing a couple of new Dark Multiverse books. I know me and you were a big fan of. They have a Crisis on Infinite Earths one they're doing.
That would be pretty cool.
And there's another one too. I think Hush, they're going to be doing something like that. So I mean, yeah, that's cool. More Dark Multiverse books. I think those books are killing it. I love the Nightfall one, the one that I
got that trade and I literally read it in one. I love it much. It was the best stuff I've read in years.
I'd like to see a Emerald Twilight or a Final Night Dark Multiverse one. I think that'd be really cool. Some of the classic DC stories. I'd love to see more Dark.
I love What If. I love like What If stories or the Elseworlds stories. So this was right up my alley, and it seemed like they were building for something bigger. At least from what I read, because it was in order in the trade, which I read it. And it seemed like they were building to something bigger, like it was a bigger threat out there, like another crisis might have been happening. But
I hope they're
reading into it.
I hope they're just one shots, honestly, because I mean, like, there's just too many different like continuities going on, like within the DC. I'd rather just have like Elseworlds and then the regular, I guess, whatever the equivalent to the 616 is for DC. And honestly, I mean, like, we kind of all create our own headcanon anyway, as far as like continuity goes. Like, to me, when it comes to Batman, like, of course, Nightfall, No Man's Land, the Silver Age stuff happened, but also like Batman Red Rain, where he becomes a vampire, happened. Batman, like, fighting Predator and aliens happened to me. Like, it all kind of goes together. It's like, I mean, like, if I can believe, like, in like, the ridiculousness of a Batman, the character himself, I can pick and choose and cherry pick what I want in my own headcanon anyway. So yeah, I mean, as far as comic book news, that's kind of about it. Oh wait, there's one other thing. Actually, you know what, Mike? Before we get into the elephant in the room, there's a couple of movie things they announced. Not announced, but kind of mentioned. I guess the Flash director kind of mentioned that the Flash movie, surprise, surprise, is going to be a soft reboot of the DCEU. Obviously,
I'm telling you right now, and I could be wrong. You guys can ridicule me and leave the nasty comments if I'm wrong. I honestly think that either we're going to get a new actor taking over Batman's role, or it's going to be the Matt Reeves Batman.
From what I understand about the Matt Reeves Batman is it's a trilogy and its own thing. Robin Pattinson has said he has no interest in being in the DC universe as far as like those other movies goes, Justice League
Makes
goes.
sense. Well, they ridicule him.
So I don't know. I mean, then again, things could change. Depends how much
Yeah.
money he makes, like, and like, contracts and all that. I don't think Gal Gadot's going anywhere. From what I hear, Jason Momoa is going to be doing Aquaman 2, but after that, they're going to phase him out for another character, and it's going to be like what's his name? Who's the kid from Young Justice?
Aqualad or
Aqualad, whoever that equivalent to Aqualad is, pretty much. I think we'll see Henry Cavill and Black Adam for sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they're going to do with Superman going forward. I mean, as far as an animated movie, I think DC's killing it with Superman as far as the animated movies go.
They always do.
Yeah, but I mean, they can't seem to like kind of get their ducks in a row when it comes to the live action Superman. We'll see what happens. I don't know.
I mean, either way, Ben Affleck's done.
Ben Affleck, I think, Michael Keaton signed on for a certain amount of movies, I guess. I don't know if they'll be in a Bruce Wayne or Batman. I think you'll see him in that costume at least once. I think if anything, you'll see him in a Kingdom Come type like costume. But when all is said and done, Affleck, I'm almost 100% is going to die in that movie, either right at the beginning or right after, or right at the end. Or I've also heard things that they're going to kind of like blink him even becoming Batman, kind of taking the one aspect of Flashpoint, which is Bruce Wayne never becoming Batman, but not because he was killed. But just him, like I guess the Wayne surviving in that universe or whatever. I don't know, but I have a feeling you're not going to see Batman after this cameo in Flash, unless this HBO can somehow kind of swindle him into a Batman live action series type show.
I heard something online on Facebook that the HBO wants to, depending how the Snyder Cut does, that they wanted to approach Ben Affleck to be Batman again, but again, it wouldn't be. I don't think it would be in the DC cinematic universe.
No, it'll be its own thing. I mean, they already have their own Gotham show coming out, Gotham Central show coming out, which is kind of based on the Gotham Central comic book rather than the show that was out recently on Fox.
I really hope they stick away, because that's where I thought that was supposed to be. I really hope that this time they stay away from all the Batman villains. You can keep some of them in there, the low tier ones, but like, I don't want to see Mr. Freeze. I don't want to see.
They put everybody in that show, and even like people like like Solomon Grundy was in there, like everybody was in there.
And I saw them, like, these guys are gonna be old timers, like reaching the retirement home when he becomes Batman. You know?
I mean that movie. I mean that show was kind of like that was a guilty pleasure for me and my wife for sure. I enjoyed it because it was stupid and it was fun. It was like definitely a love letter to like the Tim Burton movies. And,
because they had the cars from the 80s, but they had today's cell phones.
Yeah, it's kind of like the animated series where it's like, what year does this take place? Like anywhere from 1935 to 1990. Like, I don't know. But yeah, it's kind of ambiguous that way. But they had, they kept Pee-wee as Penguin's father in that.
I thought that was pretty awesome.
Pretty awesome, yeah.
And I didn't find that out until years later that he was Pee-wee Herman. Pee-wee Herman played, the Penguin in the Batman Returns movie.
Oh, I knew that, but I didn't realize that the woman, his mother, was I forget her name, Vonna, I think, from the Pee-wee's Big Adventure movie. Yeah. The girl he sits in like the dinosaur head and watches the sunrise with. That's pretty funny, which is nice. Like Tim, like that was Tim Burton's first feature film was the Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which I love that movie. So let's dive right in, Ben. Not Ben, Mike.
Ben Riley, I'll take it.
Yeah. Brian Michael Bendis is finally. He's kind of like alluded that he's going to be leaving Superman. He said that earlier in the year.
I'm done.
But it's funny because at the beginning of the year he said he was going to leave, and then we all thought he was leaving. Then he said, "Oh, that's a long ways away." And now it's been announced in December is going to be his last issue of Superman in Action Comics. If I could, I'd play. If I didn't get copyright strike, I'd play that Dashboard Conventional song, "Vindication." Happy day, a happy day for me. Which I mean, it's weird because our last review show, I was actually kind of getting into the story that he's doing right now. But I mean, I'm sure it wouldn't have stuck the landing. But we'll see. I mean, I'll still keep reading it only because, like, I'm interested. I'm gonna enjoy the things I like. But I'm sure, like, Patrick is gonna be happy. I'm sure a lot of people are gonna be happy because I mean, he was not moving the needle at all when it came to that book from day one.
The days of Bendis killing it with comic books are long over.
Yeah.
Everyone else, like, he was, he killed it on New Avengers, Daredevil.
20 years ago, though.
Yeah, 20, like Pulse, Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yep.
And he did all right with Miles Morales, but everyone else writes Miles Morales better than Bendis does.
I think after his initial Avengers run, not the heroic age, but Siege, after that storyline kind of went full circle, I think that was kind of the end of the Bendis the glory days of Bendis. I
That's
don't
where
think
it literally became talking heads.
yeah, I mean he's from what I understand, he had a pretty lucrative contract in DC. As soon as the whole like layoffs and everything kind of started with AT&T laying off a bunch of people at DC, I ever heard him, Tom King, Scott Snyder, a lot of those guys, like their contracts were kind of being under review. And like I wouldn't be surprised if like they kind of like adjusted his contract and that's what kind of led to this decision. I'm sure they'll throw him on Justice League or something, kind of like for a year or a couple of months, just kind of like like thanks for all your work, like Bendis. But I mean, I don't see him staying. I mean, he'll probably stay on Legion for a little while longer. I'm guessing that's going to be announced pretty soon. He'll be leaving. Yeah. Young Justice has been canceled, I think, already. So
yeah, it's been canceled. He started off really strong with that book, and then it's awful.
Yeah, for me, it was a lot of like member berries to that book. It was a lot of like, hey, remember Connor Kent? Like remember like this character Impulse.
That's the stuff that I respect him. He gained a little more respect. He brought back the characters that I love. He brought back like again. I didn't think he was gonna respect continuity because he couldn't even do it in his own Ultimate Spider-Man book with Miles being from 616 or the Ultimate Universe. And when he respected it from that Detective Comics run that Tim Drake was in right before he disappeared from Mr. Oz. Like I was like, holy shit! Like, is this the reemergence of Bendis? And then it was not.
For me, the art was really great, and about 3 issues in, I was like, I see what you're doing now. You're falling into your old tropes now. I enjoyed about 3 issues of that book, and then after that, I kind of realized I was buying it for the art. And the member berries, like the Easter eggs.
I was purely buying it for the like Kid Flash, Connor Kent, the Jeff Johns Teen Titans, and I think the biggest problem for me was as these characters they, DC kind of wiped all the great stuff out with the New 52, but they can't. I feel like them being on Teen Titans was a graduation day, that miniseries of Don and Troy way back when was them being. Teen Titans was their team. They graduated on the Teen Titans. And for them to go back to being Young Justice again, I thought it was kind of going backwards with their characters. Yeah. Same thing, like this is like I was thinking about this when I was in the shower, of all things. Like I was being clean, guys, all right? Don't get your mind out of the gutter.
Literally and figuratively.
But like, and I was thinking like that's the same thing of the Falcon when he was Captain America, he went back to being Falcon. I was kind of like going backwards on that character. Yeah. So that's the biggest thing I had to say really about Young Justice is that this should have been Teen Titans, like not the team that's on there now.
Yeah, like just the title "Young Justice" was just like hey, remember that book you used to like? Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Bendis for me has contributed nothing positive to the DC universe besides that Walmart book, the Batman Universe book, which I absolutely love, and that's the only book he ever did for DC. I would have been fine with that. As far as Superman goes, where did you fall out? Where did you realize right off the bat that you weren't into this Bendis?
I think his first or second issue. I didn't mind his Man of Steel reboot, kind of soft reboot that he did, that miniseries.
Yeah.
That was decent. But it was when he started going into the Kryptonian war and all that stuff of the first few arcs. And then I tried getting back into it, like during his Kent family, the House of Kent or L, whatever it was, where he brought Connor Kent. Like Superman didn't remember who he was. They're still doing that whole Doomsday Oz. I can't remember who these great characters are. And like I tried reading that Action Comics where he brought him to the Connor to the Kents, and they remembered him for some reason.
Yeah,
but it was so unreadable. I'm like, ugh. Like
right off the bat, right off the bat, Man of Steel was it wasn't for me, but okay. And then as soon as his main run on Action and Superman started, it became very clear that it's like he didn't read anything he came before. It was like Jor-El came back to the scene and acted nothing like how he did when we last saw him, and then said, "Hey, like your son needs to discover himself, so we're gonna take him into space with me." And Superman's all like, "Okay, I don't really like this, but okay." Yeah. And then he wanted to dissolve the marriage. He had Lois. I need to write a book, so I'm gonna go with them. And he's like, "Okay, I don't really want you to." And then it became they started insinuating that like Superman was gonna be like, you know, like nailing this like, you know, fire like department lady or something like that. Like she's trying to like shake things up and create like drama within the marriage.
And it was stupid too because you know the Superman and Spider-Man marriage, fans loved it.
Yeah.
But you had your old school fans who don't want their characters to change, and people like you, me, and you who didn't care like the marriage. You know,
he also made kind of implied in the beginning, like it didn't pan out that way. But like that there was something going on, like where like Lex was nailing Lois, like behind the scenes, and it's like no, thank you, I'm all done. After that, I completely dropped it.
And I did get the issue where he revealed his identity, and I'm like,
no. And that just like I said, like I think Patrick posted a thing on Facebook, and like if someone asked, "What did he bring? Did he bring anything to the table?" I'm like, "Oh, he brought plenty to the table, just nothing anybody wanted." And Bendis, I mean, like Superman's a very like, you know, I'm sorry, like, you know, these people try to make Superman relevant. You don't have to make him relevant. Like he is what he is, and that's the perfect take on Superman.
Because that's what makes Superman human. Clark Kent. And Clark Kent is a secret identity. It's not Clark Kent's secret identity is Superman. It's the other way around. And you know, one of the reasons I didn't really like Superman. I loved when he got killed by Doomsday because I'm like, ugh, he's boring. Superman's kind of boring. But then it was Smallville that made me love Superman again because it made him human to me. And for them to get rid of that identity was like, why would DC okay that?
Yeah,
Marvel dug themselves in the hole of Spider-Man when they did Peter Parker. And now they did it with Superman.
I mean, Superman, like he's the moral compass of the DC universe. And like Bendis, I've been reading your comics for 20 years now. Your moral compass is skewed. Like, you know, I've read all your comics. I've seen all your interviews. You do not. I mean, like, I'm sure you have, like, you know, your family's happy. You're happy in Portland, but it's not the like, you know, it's trust me, you don't have the right take on Superman. And what sucks for it is Ivan Reis. Ivan Reis has been doing like that. I mean, he's a great artist, and he's been doing this book like nonstop since inception, and he'll finish up strong. What a waste of talent Ivan Reis has been on this book.
Yeah, and the problem is you get this big name like Bendis in, and DC just shoehorns the other creators out. Like, right before Bendis got on, I forget who they were, but
Shumasi and Jurgens, and
they were doing a great job of it.
Amazing job. Which kind of leads me to my next thing. A lot of people are kind of speculating who's going to take over after Bendis leaves. And a lot of people keep on saying, like, oh, bring Tomasi back. And like, everybody wants to retcon the thing that happened when Jonathan Kent, retcon all these things that Bendis did. As much as I loved Tomasi, I don't think going almost 100% of the time it never works when you bring a creator and have him come back. It doesn't work in sports. It doesn't work, like, you know, in comics. I think Tomasi, although he had a great run, him and Patrick Gleason on Superman, I think he was also riding the momentum of Rebirth too. And we kind of see what he's doing on Detective right now. Detective's okay, but it's not what it was when he was on Batman and Robin. It's kind of like when they wheel out Chris Claremont every once in a while for an annual on X-Men, and it's like it's just not the same. I'd like Tomasi. I'd like to see Tomasi on something else and build a franchise somewhere else. I think his time is gone. I don't think bringing a writer back is the answer. I don't think putting Grant Morrison on the book is the answer.
Oh God, no.
I don't think that's the one thing that was revealed in DC Fandom. The Mark Waid is back at DC possibly. Mm-hmm. He's writing a story for Death Metal, I guess, one of these storylines. I would love that's definitely Mark Waid's dream project. He never really got the chance to do like Superman, like, you know, proper at DC. He's been gone for 20 years now from DC because of Bob Harris. Now that Bob Harris let go, I guess he's kind of like, you know, inching his way back in there. I'd be down with Mark Waid, maybe. But then again, Mark Waid, you kind of have the same thing with Bendis. You don't know what Mark Waid you're getting. Like, you know, there's...
Yeah, if you get modern day, I'm on Twitter going on my soapbox rant.
Yeah.
And we said this in another podcast. Mark Waid, you'd be great on there, but keep your inside politics or outside politics away from the book.
The thing of Mark Waid is the past 10 years, Mark Waid's written some of my favorite comic books of all time. But also, the past 10 years, there's Champions, Mark Waid, and I don't really know what else he's written, really, to be honest. He's written a few like one-shots here and there. So, I mean, you don't know what Mark Waid... I read that new Fantastic Four he's doing with Neil Adams. I mean, it's okay. So, I mean...
Really, Neil Adams' artwork, it's kind of meh.
Yeah. Well, he's like, I think he's almost 80 right now. So, I mean, like, you know, I don't know anybody who can...
Plus, he fucked over our friend Penelope, so he can go eat a bag of dick.
Well, from right here, he's a pretty abrasive character anyways, Neil Adams. But I mean, yeah, Mark Waid, I mean, maybe. A lot of people saying Tom Taylor. He's wrote that great he wrote Friendly Neighborhood SpiderMan was coming out. He wrote that great issue, which was kind of a throwback to the kid who collected Spider-Man. Yeah. From what I understand, I've been reading it, but he's been really killing it in Deceased. And
this is actually really good.
Yeah, and Injustice he wrote it. A lot of people are saying they really like him on Superman. I'd be down with Tom Taylor, but the thing with Tom Taylor, you also got to realize too, and if you've ever seen him, that hat and that facial hair, that was a choice made by him. So think what kind of choices he might make on Superman. But then again, Tom Taylor might not have a pitch either.
Yeah. Give me Tom King. He's the best.
I will say Tom King, I think it's Up in the Sky it's called. He did that at Walmart book. It was weird. I don't like Tom King's Batman. I don't like Bendis' Superman. But those two Walmart books where Tom King did Superman and Bendis did Batman were terrific. But I don't want Tom King anywhere near. I don't want emo, moping, cucked out Superman. I mean, honestly, I would like to see somebody new, fresh and hungry, somebody you haven't really heard from. I mean, I think we might see Tom Taylor and Jorge Jimenez. I think is what we're gonna see. Then again, I'd hate to lose Jorge off Batman. I think he's killing it. I don't know. Do you have any picks for Superman, Mike? Or?
I'm so out of it with DC. I can't really tell you who would be a good choice, honestly. I mean, I've always liked Mark Waid prior to his, social justice warrior type nonsense that he pulls or whatever. I don't care if he does that on his own time, but when it delays your books, I don't want to have delayed books because he's going on some fucking rant on Twitter.
Yeah.
So I don't know, honestly. I don't want Bendis, or I kind of was joking about Tom King just to piss off a certain other group of podcasts that we all know about. But I honestly couldn't even tell you.
To me, I think what they should do. First of all, I don't want to see the same writer on both books. I think it's a mistake. I think they should do something. If you have Tom King and Jorge Jimenez or somebody else jump on Superman, that's fine. I think what they should do to Action Comics is what we talked about before: is turning it into an anthology super family book. Yeah. Have the book be an 80-pager and charge $9, $8, whatever you charge for it. Have it be Superman, have it be Supergirl, have it be Superboy, have it be like Jimmy Olsen, all these characters. I mean, turn it into an Action Comics anthology book, and have. I mean, if you have multiple writers, you can have anybody who wants to take a crack at those characters. Even if that's what Mark Waid wants his project to be, Mark Waid's project. I think that's the way to go for Superman. I think going forward, and that's definitely something I think AT&T would be interested in, considering the way they're going right now as far as publishing comics goes. But yeah, I mean, I'm
less books the better, and I think Marvel needs to be the same route. Less books the better.
I think a lot of people. It's weird to me. I feel like I'm the only person. I go on Twitter and I go on Facebook and I see how do you want to fix Superman? It's okay, putting any big name creator is not going to fix Superman. What you need is a perfect storm of a good Superman movie. You need a good Superman game, and you need obviously good Superman comic, and you need some cool Superman toys. You need the whole thing to kind of come together, a perfect storm. That's why when Batmania came out in the 80s, you had the toys, you had the movie, you had I think the animated series came on not that long after. Batman's always been there's always been cartoons
the NES games were pretty great, but back then I think the NES games were based off the movie.
But I said before, I kind of feel like I'm the only person who doesn't realize right now that DC is we're all about our characters in media, in movies, and in merchandise. And part of that merchandise is comics. Comics are not. I love comics. They're my number one love when it comes to these characters. But I think a lot of people aren't realizing now that it's just another merchandise thing right now. It's not the most important thing anymore. And
because I'm not even blown away by this stuff anymore like I used to be.
No, I mean, maybe they are for kids, but I mean, I don't know. I don't think it needs to be the be all and end all that people think it is. Yeah,
I mean, the last book I was excited about was the prequel to Marvel, or whatever the hell it's called now. But
yeah,
I can't wait for that next issue to come out, but it's been delayed because of the COVID. It's understandable, But the other books that I get excited are the Power Rangers books and Turtles. you know, I'll always have Spider-Man books, even when it sucks. That's
Yep.
just I'm always a Spider-Man fan, but I'm not. I just can't wait for this Kindred storyline to be over with. You know? I mean, God, my God.
But I mean, DC's been publishing Superman comics and Batman comics for like almost 100 years now.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, I mean, there's plenty of comics to fall back on. If like you're big on story, I doubt anybody has a full collection of these comics or like every issue of every Superman appearance ever. So there's plenty to fall back on. And just like for now anyway, I think DC right now is like you're not going to see a big emphasis. If DC Fandom was any indication, you're not going to see a big focus on comics.
Yeah.
I think the comics they're making right now, as far as are good, are fine. They're not like, you know, I don't think we're in a DC Renaissance or anything like that right now, but I think like, you know, they're good enough. And I think that what they need to focus on right now is becoming a more dominant presence in like, you know, in media and in merchandise right now, which I said countless times before that you shouldn't be seeing. I shouldn't be able to get a million, like everywhere I look in a Target, be able to find an Avengers merchandise thing, but not be able to find a Batman thing or a Superman shirt. Like, you know, it should be the complete opposite of that. These characters
Go
are
back
way
to
more.
the '90s where you had all these different Superman action figures or Batman action figures. You had fucking Superman with fucking guns and shit. You know, water guns.
Crazy. Like, you know, and that's why I think McFarlane was a great choice. Like, you know, to start making these action figures, because he's making cheap, cool action figures that aren't just like, you know, okay, let's make Henry Cavill Superman action figure. It's like, no, let's make Superman like, you know, electric blue Superman, or like, you know, let's make like the Jim Lee version with the short sleeves. And I think I think just more. Give Tom, take him off the leash and have him make more, and then get other toy vendors to make him more like, you know, action figures.
Most of my DC toys are vintage stuff.
Yeah.
The newest stuff I have is the animated thing, if you guys can see it back there, and the fucking DC Dark Knight action figures back there. I mean, that's like most of my stuff of late has been Turtles. You know, they've been killing it with Turtles. So like,
Yep.
You know, and mainly Marvel. Nothing really new on Marvel, really, but
just DC. I mean, like, just. I mean, I'm glad you're making Black Adam and maybe Zatanna movies with that and all that kind of thing. Focus on your main 7 characters and really push them into the spotlight, because that's what needs to be done right now. And then, like, you know, trust me, once you're making some bank and you're in the black, then you can start, like, you know, really, like, you know, push the boundaries and take some chances on the comics and that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of my what I took from this past weekend, as far as DC Fandom and as far as, like, you know, Bendis leaving and all that good stuff. Kind of a slow week, to be honest with you. I mean,
it really was. Yeah, nothing really big. I mean, the biggest news for me was Batman Beyond being canceled and Bendis Off Superman, and that was Friday. That was before DC Fandom. You know.
Yeah.
And I tried watching DC Fandom. Like I forgot that I was happening, and I kind of clicked on
Same here.
YouTube.
To be honest,
it was in the middle of the Batwoman one where they were all talking at once, and I'm like, all right, click. I don't care. I'm done.
To be honest with you, it wasn't even working half the time. Did you see the server kept on going down? I couldn't even get on half the time. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, DC, it is what it is right now. They're in a transition period right now. Yeah. And just ride that wave, like, you know, comics, baby. I mean, I'd rather have rocky oceans than no oceans at all. You know, you know.
Actually, the only thing from Marvel is that they resumed filming on production the Falcon and Winter Soldier. That was about it.
Oh, did they? I didn't even hear that.
I saw somewhere on Facebook. I bet that, like, that's the biggest news Marvel has to put out right now.
Cool, I guess.
Like, why is there not like a Marvel fandom type thing going on now? Like, why aren't they doing this?
They have a D3. Well, balloon just pops. It's one of those punching ones. They had like D3. It's like a Disney convention, pretty much, which Marvel is. I think they're kind of like not doing San Diego as much anymore, Hall H, that kind of thing, unless they have a big movie to promote. But yeah, I mean, that as far as like geeky, nerdy comic news, that's about it. I did hear something about the last Ronin Ninja Turtles comic, why it's been delayed. I guess they're kind of like they want to make the art. I guess they're kind of redoing a lot of the art. They want to kind of make the book stand the test of time, I guess, kind of been said. But I mean, I think the early issues of Ninja Turtles really stand the test of time, and those were on shitty newspaper. You can see sketch lines and erase marks and everything else. But I mean, I don't know. It comes out in October supposedly, so I can't wait for that. But I think it's like bi-monthly though, so it comes out every other month. I think that.
Oh, it's gonna be a miniseries. I thought it was gonna be a one and done thing.
That's a miniseries, I guess. So I think they're kind of doing the Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns type format. So that's something to look forward to. And but other than that, I think that's about it. Anything else, Mike?
And nothing else. Yeah, DC Fandom was kind of a dud, really. Nothing really major, you know.
Well, DC, you can only run at full throttle for so long before you kind of like you got to burn out that tranny. So we're just simmer down for a little bit, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's gonna do it for this week, I guess. My name's Steve. That's Mike. Remember to like and subscribe and hit the notification. There's plenty of videos on this channel to enjoy or just hate watch. Just like sit there and like scowl at the screen the entire time and like and like.
We'll take it if it gets our subscriber base up. Just hate us. Watch.
And leave in the comments anything you guys want to talk about, anything you guys want us to talk about. We're always listening. And that's gonna do it for us this time. And we'll see you next time.
All right. See you later.
We'll do better next time.
We'll do better next time.
Yeah. Stop.